Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. We are jumping right into a deep dive on a concept that has, well, it's moved from a personal hack to an absolute necessity for anyone navigating the modern workday. I'm talking about microproductivity. We're looking at a whole stack of sources today, behavioral science articles, business white papers, all trying to solve one problem.
And it's a universal problem.
It is. How do you find calmness and efficiency when waiting for that perfect, uninterrupted block of time is just completely unrealistic?
It's a fantasy for most people. And what's so fascinating is how relevant this whole approach is right now. Microproductivity, at its core, it's about strategically capturing those tiny windows of time.
We're talking like 5 or 10 minutes between meetings.
5, 10, maybe 15 minutes, and turning them into steady, finishable forward motion on, and this is the key, real work, high-value work.
So not just busy work.
Never busy work. It's a mechanism for reframing those massive, vague goals into these short, psychologically manageable actions.
And that's really the mission of this deep dive today, to give you, our listener, the strategic insights and the practical toolkit to make those chaotic days feel efficient. It's about capturing what our sources call quick wins.
Right.
Things like using a coffee break to draft 3 key headings for a report, or maybe listing the talking points for your next call. Little things.
And this isn't just a nice idea. It's not wishful thinking. The core finding that really grounds this whole approach is the research. It shows that the act of just tracking and completing small wins significantly boosts both your motivation and your overall perceived productivity.
So when you feel completely blocked by a huge project.
Exactly. Capturing even a single 10-minute gap to finish one tiny part of it sustains momentum so much better than waiting, 2 hours for a deep focus block that might never actually show up.
Okay, let's unpack the why behind this. Because the power of microproductivity isn't just about organizing your sticky notes better. It's really rooted in brain science, isn't it?
It is. It's all about how our brains process information and deal with fatigue. The primary enemy of starting a large task is something called cognitive load.
Right.
Think of your working memory, that's the mental space you use for active thinking, as a tiny desktop.
Okay.
And the study suggests that desks can only really handle about 3 to 5 items at once. So when your to-do list says something vague like, redo the marketing strategy,
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling.
that one item takes up your entire mental desktop because it's so huge and undefined.
You just stare at it and your brain freezes up. It feels almost like a protective mechanism,
Yeah.
The entry barrier is just too high, so your mind resists starting. It's conserving energy.
Precisely. It's reducing decision fatigue before you've even made a decision. So by breaking that work into small, defined tasks, you immediately reduce that mental load.
You're not redoing the strategy anymore.
No, you're just dealing with, say, draft 5 objectives for the new strategy. The friction is minimized, and starting becomes almost instantaneous.
And that reduction in friction, that leads directly to what our sources are calling the small wins effect and the dopamine connection.
Yes.
We've seen this cited everywhere. Harvard Business Review, the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, they all say completing a small, well-defined task triggers a measurable dopamine boost.
And that boost is the neurological reward system kicking in. It reinforces the habit of starting and finishing. It's this frequent, brief feedback that keeps the momentum going.
Which you just don't get with a huge project.
Not at all. If a project takes 3 weeks, the reward is way too distant to create an effective daily habit loop.
This also brings up a really critical point about goal setting. Vague goals are just. They're inherently overwhelming because they don't give your brain a specific cue to act.
This is where we bring in the power of goal-setting theory. Research by Edwin Locke confirms that specific goals drastically improve performance. You have to turn that vague ambition, finish the report, into a sharp, specific action.
Like draft the intro summary by 10 a.m.
Exactly like that. The specificity guides your behavior, it reduces the anxiety of the unknown, and it makes your progress measurable. You can see it immediately.
I like that distinction. We're not just trying to stay busy. We are tying these tiny little steps to real specific and visible outcomes.
You have to. If the small step doesn't directly contribute to the named outcome, it's just busy work. And we have to eliminate busy work.
All right, so now that we get the science, the why behind small steps, let's move from theory to the practical toolkit. What can people start doing right now? We need some clear rules of engagement.
Well, the foundational rules are all focused on reducing that initial friction. First up is the famous 2-minute rule.
Right. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now.
Do it immediately. But here's the critical adaptation for microproductivity. For those larger items that seem so daunting, you commit just 2 minutes to start it.
Ah,
Once that initial barrier is gone, you've captured the momentum. And you often find yourself just continuing for 5, 10, maybe 20 minutes beyond that initial commitment.
that initial friction is everything, isn't it? The hardest part of a run is just putting on your shoes.
Exactly. The second core technique is task chunking. This is breaking a huge project into bite-sized steps, ideally something that takes between 5 and 25 minutes.
Okay.
But the real trick here, the part a lot of people miss, is making sure you name each task with a strong verb and a tangible outcome.
So instead of work on a report,
You would write, gather 3 key statistics from the Q3 data, or draft the 3 core headings for section 1. It minimizes that thinking time you waste just trying to decide what to do next.
and then when you do have a slightly bigger gap, say 25 minutes between meetings, we can protect that with the classic system, the Pomodoro sprint.
Right. Running these 25-minute focus sprints followed by a mandatory 5-minute break, it just paces your effort. It leverages the brain science we were just talking about. It reduces fatigue, and it lets you sequence your work.
Sequence it how?
We recommend a simple sequence: prep, produce, and polish.
Prep, produce, polish. I like that.
So you prep by gathering your sources and tools, you produce by doing the actual work, and you polish by reviewing or filing it. One micro task per sprint to maximize that feeling of completion.
But I have to challenge this a bit. If the whole point is capturing these tiny windows, is a 25-minute Pomodoro always the right tool? I mean, what if I only have 7 minutes before a call?
That's a great question, and it's why task chunking is so foundational. If you only have 7 minutes, you don't start a Pomodoro. You execute a single named micro task that takes 7 minutes or less.
Like reply to 3 quick emails.
Exactly. Reply to 3 quick customer messages. You use the Pomodoro for the structured, longer windows you can protect. But you use the 2-minute rule and the chunking for the gaps. They all work together.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings us to application. Let's talk about the big workflow killers, email and reports. How do we apply this discipline there?
For email, you have to stop treating your inbox as your main to-do list. You process it in short, planned windows. Use the 2-minute rule for quick replies. But for complex threads, you immediately convert them into a scheduled task on your list. That stops your brain from toggling back and forth.
I throw for reports?
Same method, break them down. Micro tasks like gathering specific sources, writing just the headings, or drafting one bullet point list.
And we can formalize this with time blocking. But not just for big chunks of deep work.
It's for the small stuff too. It means assigning short, defined calendar windows for specific, finishable actions. It's not email review on your calendar. It's process 10 priority emails and schedule follow-ups.
Be specific.
Be very specific, and whenever you can, group similar items. That's batching. If you have 5 little admin tasks, do them all at once. This significantly reduces the mental toggle tax we pay when we switch between different modes of thinking.
Okay, now let's zoom out. This is where micro-productivity moves from just a personal habit to a core business strategy. Let's look at the why it matters. For big teams, for organizations, especially with so many people working remotely.
This is critical because the efficiency gained by individuals scales up massively. The central problem in team efficiency today is reducing friction and that toggle tax we just mentioned.
Right.
Our sources show that the average employee wastes a significant number of minutes every single day just searching for information or context that's lost across too many different platforms. Too many apps means lost minutes. It means mental friction.
And the solution being proposed is consolidation, right? Creating what one of our sources calls a one home.
A one home. If we centralize tasks, documents, and chats into one integrated system, you preserve context. When you finish drafting those 3 headings, the document, the chat about it, and the next step on your to-do list are all right there. It cuts the toggle tax.
And eliminates duplicate work.
Exactly. And the second strategic layer here is integrating AI and automation. AI platforms are turning repetitive admin work, the stuff that used to eat up those 5-minute gaps, into almost instant actions.
Think about it, right? Setting up a recurring report, updating a project status in 3 different dashboards, sending meeting summaries.
Little annoying tasks that cluttered your day.
Yeah. Now, automations can handle all of that. They can send reminders, trigger recurring work, all without manual intervention. AI summaries can give you a quick status update, which cuts down so much on the manual effort for team alignment.
It changes the whole definition of productivity.
Yeah.
And if we look at the metrics that really matter, businesses need to evolve beyond just simple utilization rates,
Just tracking how many hours someone clocked in.
which just tells you how busy they were, not how effective. We need to focus on what's called partial productivity.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Partial productivity measures one output to one input. For example, units produced per labor hour. This gives you a much clearer signal of efficiency, not just busyness.
Ah, so a team could be utilized 100% of the time, but if their units per hour drop.
You know you have an efficiency problem. There's friction, there's process waste, even though everyone is working really hard.
So we need to track that waste separately. One source suggested tracking availability, utilization, and efficiency percentages separately. Can you break down why that's so important?
Absolutely. Let's imagine a development team.
Hmm.
Availability percentage tells you if the worker was even there and ready to work. If that's low, you have a resource management issue.
Too many meetings, maybe.
Exactly. Utilization percentage tells you how much of their available time was spent actively working. Low utilization means time is lost to downtime or just searching for information.
And efficiency.
Efficiency percentage tells you if that utilized time was spent effectively. You can have high utilization, meaning you're busy all day, but low efficiency, meaning you're busy working on the wrong things, or the processes are just too slow. Separating these three pinpoints the real problem.
It gives you actionable data. That makes perfect sense. Activity does not equal results.
Never. And finally, you have to link that internal speed to the customer experience. Businesses have to measure order cycle time, or OCT, from the customer's perspective.
Not just the internal one.
Right. Your team might have a 10-day OCT to process an order, but if the customer is waiting 100 days for delivery because of some other holdup, that's the real failure. Microproductivity, when it's applied strategically, it speeds up those internal handoffs.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful. But is there a pitfall here? If we break work down into too many tiny chunks, don't we risk a new kind of fragmentation where we lose sight of the bigger goal?
It is the critical pitfall, and you have to avoid it. You have to right-size the tasks. The rule is absolute. If a step won't meaningfully move the project forward in 5 to 15 minutes, you either need to split it further or reschedule it for a larger block. It has to be outcome-driven.
And protecting those short sprints is paramount. That means using the tools that create boundaries-focused modes on your devices, strict notification hygiene, muting alerts.
You have to use that prep, produce, polish sequence. And before the timer ends, you document the next action. That little transition step is the final key to maintaining momentum.
So what does this all mean for you, the professional dealing with email overload and back-to-back meetings? If we boil this all down, the key takeaway is that consistency matters so much more than intensity. Steady short wins, those micro gains, they beat the occasional marathon session every single time, especially when your schedule is just inherently fragmented.
And to summarize that core habit loop we've been discussing, first, name the next small step. Make sure it's finishable. Second, protect that short window of time. And third, repeat. Rely on simple tools, a list, a timer, one central workspace.
It's an approach that refines what truly matters and uses, well, the science of the brain, not just willpower, to drive your progress.
And here is a final provocative thought for you to take into your next workday. Close each day by cueing one small, defined action for the following morning. So the next available window never starts with the uncertainty of what do I do next? This simple habit just eliminates that starting barrier and immediately turns spare time into steady, science-backed games.
That's a fantastic strategy. You wake up already winning the day. Thank you so much for tuning into the SmartKeys podcast. If you are ready to implement the 2-minute rule, Pomodoro sprints, and start tracking your own small wins to leverage this science, we highly encourage you to read the full article. You can find the link to the full article on microproductivity in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to the SmartKeys podcast for more deep dives into the future of work and efficiency.